So thanks everyone for joining today. We do have a small change in the schedule that we shared with you originally. Instead of our career coach Kareem, we are going to have our full-time MBA Associate Director Ian join us today. He'll be joining me, and I'm one of the Recruitment and Admissions Managers for the full-time MBA program as well. To walk you briefly through what to expect from today's webinar, I'm going to start by sharing a bit about the MBA experience as a whole, as well as the application process and what you can do to prepare for your admissions. I'll then hand it over to Ian, who will introduce the careers team. He's going to walk you through the different career development activities that are part of the MBA, talk a little bit about the visa, and then we are very lucky to have two recent alumni joining us, and they are going to give you the inside scoop on what it's like to do our MBA and then find a job that they really enjoy afterwards. Then finally, we'll wrap it up with Q&A. As a housekeeping note, we do have a Q&A box active. You are welcome to put your questions in there. Please keep in mind that we are in a webinar setting, so try and keep your questions a bit general. If you have specific questions about your background or your experience, please do feel welcome to reach out to your admissions manager. I will share the contact details for us at the very end of the presentation. Right, let's kick off. So one of the most important parts of your MBA experience is where you're going. And maybe some of you know Rotterdam, maybe some of you have visited, but for those who haven't, Rotterdam is a very international and vibrant business city. It is home to several multinational companies, several shippings and logistics. It's also one of the largest ports in Europe, so there's a lot happening here. And with that comes a lot of different nationalities as well. We have people from almost every country in the world calling Rotterdam their home. And with that, we have a lot of different opportunities for work, for cultural activities, for different things to make Rotterdam really feel like home if you choose to come here for your MBA. The other very critical aspect of your MBA journey are the people that you're doing that journey with. So I'll quickly walk you through the class profile for our current students. Each year, we have around 120 different students joining us for our cohort. And we are actually one of the most diverse MBA cohorts in the world. We're in the top 10. This past year, we had 30 different nationalities join our cohort. You can see the countries they're from, the different parts of the world they're from. But beyond just the nationalities, we're also very diverse in the academic and the career backgrounds that our students are bringing. So when you're in class with these people, these are going to be your future network. These are going to be your personal and professional connections that will continue to serve you through your MBA and long, long after. What exactly will you be studying as part of the MBA? Also an important thing to consider. So the MBA year starts off in January and is split into a few different modules. Your first module when you arrive on campus in January is all about getting you situated in the city of Rotterdam, in the university, and in the MBA experience. So you're going to have some introduction weeks. You'll have some workshops on how to best communicate with your fellow classmates, with your team, with your professors. You're also going to have some activities that will really orientate you to the city of Rotterdam and the different things that businesses here are doing. Once you wrap up that sort of module 0 time, you're then going to dive right into your classes, and you're going to take a few different business fundamentals courses where you're going to get a broad exposure to different parts of businesses. Whether you're coming from one of these areas, if you're an accountant or a marketeer, and you're going to learn more about it, or you're going to be exposed to totally new, different areas. After you wrap up these sort of business fundamentals, we then put your new skills to the test, and we have a consulting project called the Living Management Project, or LMP. Ian is going to talk about that in a little bit in the context of your career development, but essentially you get to consult in a team of your fellow students and really get to know a company and help solve a challenge that this business is having. This summer, we do give you some time off to maybe explore the Netherlands, maybe travel home. There's also a summer school aspect where we're having keynote speakers from all over the world come in to discuss really topical things like AI in business or different trends happening in the business world. And then there is a study trip. So you're already overseas in the Netherlands for your MBA, but you get to spend 1 week somewhere else. And while you're there, you're doing some classes, you're visiting local companies. In the past, we've done a sustainability focused trip in Costa Rica. We've done something focused on finance in London. You're going to a place that is really known for the topic you're studying. Finally, Module 5 is where you can customize a bit. We have advanced courses in 5 different areas. Those are in marketing, finance, supply chain management, strategy, and sustainability. You choose one out of those 5 as your advanced course, and then we have electives from those same 5 categories, plus leadership, and you get to choose 3. The other things happening throughout your MBA year, Ian is going to dive into 2 of those aspects, the personal leadership development, which is all about helping you grow and develop as a leader in business, a leader in the world. There's also a course called The Craft of Managing for Positive Change, which is where you discuss how to really operate as a responsible business leader in the current business environment. And then, of course, the focus of this webinar, the career development. Finally, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the admissions process. So what you need, bare minimum for the program, non-negotiable, you do need an undergraduate degree, can be from any field. You do need at least 3 years of postgraduate professional experience by the time you start the program. And of course, our language of instruction is in English. We'll need to see language proficiency. There's a few different paths to proving that. And we really want to see that you'll be able to contribute and thrive in our multicultural setting. The admissions process itself, you first have an online application. That's where you're going to need an essay of 500 words on RSM's mission of being a force for positive change. You'll need a copy of your CV. You'll need 2 professional references. So those are people you've worked with, not academic, not personal. They need to be someone who knows you in a professional setting. We do require a standardized test score for the admissions process. That can be the GMAT or GRE. We do accept both. Or we have an alternative exam called the business admissions test that is available to some students depending on your background. If you have questions on if you're eligible for that, please, again, reach out to your admissions managers. We can take a look at your CV or LinkedIn and give you an answer. You'll also need your official transcript and diploma from your university. You'll need a copy of your passport. That is all the things in the online application portion. Once you submit that, we'll do a first round review. If all goes well and we invite you to the next round, you'll then do an online video assessment called the Kira, and you will do an interview with an alum or a member of the admissions team. Deadlines, we do have our next deadline coming up on June 3rd. So depending on how quickly you can do the process, there is still time to apply for this one. Following that, the deadlines are August 12th, October 1st, and November 4th. And these are just the deadlines for getting your online application submitted. You do have time after these pass to get your interview and Kira done. We do also have scholarships available. As I know, funding the MBA is a really important consideration. It's a significant investment. So please do, stay tuned, look at your email. I'll be sending out a recording of this webinar, as well as some more details about the program, about the different scholarships available after the recording is finalized. All right, I think that is it from my side. I'm happy to hand it over to Ian, who will go through the career process of the MBA in more detail.
Thanks so much, Anna. And well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're calling in from. And we're excited to host you here today on the webinar, hopefully provide you some more information with regards to what the career journey and the career path, both during and post your experience, would look like coming to RSM. So first, here's a snapshot of our last stats. We're currently in the process of collecting stats for the graduating class of last year. So we hope to have that at the end of the month. But you see here, we have a pretty nice stat in terms of the graduating class of 2024. At the point of graduation, so at the point at which we had offered their graduation certificates, 51% had been employed. 3 months post that, 91% of the entire cohort had been with employment. So again, I think that is a very nice stat that we work with and something also we take a lot of pride in. And you see here a couple of other stats, most of which do remain in the Netherlands. So a lot of our students that are traveling to the Netherlands to study here also take advantage of, and what we'll talk about a bit later is what we call the zoekjaar. So it's kind of the opportunity to stay 1 year extra here in the Netherlands to find employment. And so you see that also offers a lot of opportunities. And then additionally, most do change industries. So I think that's another incentive to do an MBA is a lot of individuals are coming to maybe do a double or triple jump in terms of changing careers, changing roles, changing functions or sectors. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, I think we can continue. So here's a snapshot of our careers team. So it's a pretty formidable group of individuals. We have our associate director, Laura, and then we have an employees relation manager. So that's basically our contact at RSM that then manages and brokers a lot of the relationships we have with our companies that we participate and partner with. And so she also contributes to a lot of the content in terms of delivering companies that we then work with for various workshops, also for some of the core curriculum that you embark on as you navigate the student learning journey here at RSM. Additionally, we have 5 career development managers and we have a student assistant. And the career development managers are your career coaches, if you will. So they not only program a lot of the content that you have access to throughout the tenor of your RSM career, but also they work to coach you specifically with refining your personal profile and how you want to move into the market, and basically try to work with you to optimize your CV and optimize your presentation, give you some cultural information on how to navigate the Dutch business landscape, and really set you guys up for success as you kind of take the next steps into your future careers. I think we can. Great. So an important message from the careers team is really that the careers team, just like all of us here at RSM, we're here to help identify paths forward and also give you an impactful career. So it's not just about the fact that you are obviously coming to the MBA to pursue a new career path or maybe refine skills and continue on, but make a jump within the career that you're already or a function that you're already within, a sector that you already kind of reflect or represent. But also it's about all the learning and the skills and the takeaways and the competencies that you gain during your time here at RSM, right? So it's not just the end result of, yes, I'm ultimately doing this because I want to move ahead in my career. Absolutely, that is and should be a prime focus. But also we really try to help reflect on the various skills that you attain while you're in the process of going through this journey with us. So there's a couple of snapshots. I hope our colleague provided this slide. So it's it's a nice one. So part of the related skills that you're able to realize and through kind of very intentional in one-on-one engagement with your career coaches is that you have the opportunity to deepen more self-awareness, right? So it's a bit of a mirror held up to you in terms of ensuring that the way in which you reflect yourself is also landing in terms of the way you present yourself outwardly, right? So sometimes we might have an inner reflection and the way that we present to potential employers could be very different. So it's trying to help us align and bring some awareness to that process and also build a bit of a cultural bridge to understand, again, navigating the Dutch business landscape. Additionally, it's also making sure that you have access to the market, not just the local market of Rotterdam, but within, let's say, the larger, EU kind of workspace and understanding the ecosystem. So we really try to program in a lot of opportunities for us to interact with companies, to go to various events, do site visits, so that you also have a bit more of an understanding of what are the current business challenges that the Dutch market is tackling. So it's really exposure, awareness, and also just a bit of a resource allocation of like, here's kind of what you can expect. And if you're interested, where you can take it further, depending on exactly your kind of personal, professional ambitions. A huge aspect of why many, I think, go to a MBA study is to develop your network. And certainly in this cohort, you are dealing with individuals that are really experts globally from various sectors that come to the Netherlands with that kind of energy and that ambition. So you not only have the network of your immediate cohort, but you also have a professional network that you work with as you kind of get to meet professionals from various backgrounds, but also you have the alumni network. And of course, we have two recently graduated alum that will be chatting with you. So I'll kind of save that space for them. But it's certainly something that you can really rely on and take advantage of. And it's a strength of the RSM MBA program. And then, of course, some of the more, let's say, foundational skills of just upgrading your interview and job search skills, right? So maybe the way in which you would interview or present yourself, depending on where you're coming from, might not land culturally here in the Netherlands. So a lot of that is really understanding what the market demands are here, what the labor market is looking for, what our employers are looking for, and helping you kind of match that so that you really present your strongest hand when you're in those kind of spaces and having to navigate to make that next step in your career. And I'm seeing also some more regions, names, and where you're coming from. That's great. Keep that up. I think that's part of it. Is create a bit of the essence of the community that we try to build here at RSM. So a bit of a snapshot of some of the programming that is integrated into your core curriculum schedule is the development of your career-related skills. So one aspect is we have a lead faculty who is huge in terms of having various touch points of a lot of the practical application of the skill set that you acquire at an MBA. His name is Nicholas Contanesco. And he teaches self-marketing course. And really, this is the idea, what the idea behind this is to build and engage your professional networks, to practice the art of storytelling, how you sell yourself, career-related conversations, how you basically, you get yourself in a room, what's next? And that's really what Nicholas intends to help equip our students with. So it really gives you food for thought, but also kind of challenges you to step outside of your comfort zone and say, this is really what the market is looking for. And this is how you can kind of tailor your own behaviors to accommodate the demands of the market. Additionally, there's also a lot of workshops and career labs that is hosted and organized by the Career Center. And of course, there's also practicing within your peers. So the way in which that we set up a lot of our groups is because we're dealing with a very diverse audience. We saw the snapshot earlier in the presentation of 30 nationalities currently represented within the cohort. That's very intentional in design. And part of that is also that you are interacting with diverse peers from around the world. Without having cultural bridges, without having to have the knowledge of what it means to understand and engage in a way where you're working through cultural differences, leaves you maybe at a disadvantage. So this is a lot of the group work that we do is intentional and designed to help you understand how it means to actually be a leader within a diverse group of people. And so a lot of the backpacking and group practice is really their focus to hone in on your leadership skills, but also a lot of your, we refer to them as soft skills. I don't really like that term. I like to say complex skills because they're really the skills that will help drive you into your future career path. And then, of course, and very importantly, you have one-to-one career coaching. So these are very personalized, customized coaching sessions that you have with the career coaches that we presented earlier a couple slides back. That really help you in terms of realizing what your ambitions are. So it's also just helping you reflect, hone in on exactly where you want to take it. And maybe you don't know immediately where you want to go in terms of the next steps of your career, but your career coach is that person to help you kind of maybe articulate and streamline your ambition to help you take the next step to the career path that you're looking towards. So what I'm going to do, instead of unpacking this entire slide, there is a QR code that does that a lot more succinctly, I think, than I can do it. So I really want to maybe invite you all just to take a snapshot of the QR code now. It should open up into a site where you have a bunch of drop downs with descriptions of exactly the entire MBA Career Center journey, right? So from the point at which you start your MBA journey to the point at which you are graduating. And there you get a much nicer, succinct snapshot and explanation of all the various touch points and programming that the Career Center has curated for your experience here at RSM. maybe we'll give it. Has everyone just maybe reaction, thumbs up or in the chat? Everyone get a a snapshot there that you can take it further, because then we'll keep it moving. All right, cool. Thanks, Hannah. Can keep it moving. All right. So our employer relations manager, who we also shared earlier, is really done an incredible job of building our network and our opportunity to interact with various leading companies and leading executives that come and speak on behalf of their company, talk about market disruptions, transitions, and also kind of bring, let's say, the local business landscape to RSM. And that comes in the form of various workshops, lectures, keynotes, and also, of course, opportunities to even go on site to interact with some of these companies and understand kind of maybe the operational aspects or some of the challenges they're navigating. So as Hannah pointed out, in the curriculum, in the middle of the year, so that usually comes for us at June, we have what is known as your capstone project. We call it the Living Management Project. It's a 4-week period of time where you do a business case. It's basically a live consultancy with a participating business. Every year, we have about 13 to 14 businesses that we work with that then create 1 or 2 different business cases that you work with within student teams, and you deliver basically a result in the course of 4 weeks. In this period of time, not only are you working on this business case, but you also have the opportunity to meet multiple times with the company that you're doing this business case for. So that means going to the office, meeting with the various department that you might be working on the business case with. And then at the end of it, you deliver a final product, which is the result of, let's say, your business case consultancy. This really gives you opportunity to interact with the local business landscape. We're also very intentional in design that the business cases that are developed by these companies are real life cases that they're actually trying to solve and work on. So this is a real live consultancy. This is not something that they create for us just to fulfill an academic criteria component. This is really something that they expect, and they actually come to RSM for our expertise and our talent to think outside of the box in terms of how they tackle some of the pressing challenges they're navigating. And in front of you, you have a bit of a snapshot of all the companies that we have worked with, either in one fashion or the other. Either that's via this living management project or some of the speaking engagements that we have lined up with regards to working with opportunities that these companies offer to our participants. So here's a bit of a snapshot. If any of you have like Spotify or anything that they have the end of year wrap. So this is kind of something like this in this fashion, let's say. So it's kind of the idea of you have 26 workshops that are delivered in the course of the year. That fluctuates every year. We really look at it based on demand. So for us, it's more about quality and not quantity. And whatever we program, we want to make sure it makes sense in the current landscape and exactly building the skills that are necessary for you to advance in your careers. And then you have a bit of an idea of some of the subject matter that gets covered in the various sessions that are held. So it might be storytelling. It could be even things that are very practical, like navigating Dutch tax, that a lot of individuals that transition from their search year visa then are in an exemption pool in terms of taxes and tax designation. That's unpacked, in those kind of sessions. We talk about how to market yourself, internships, networking, also very practical skills like interview prep and CV writing. So the other thing that is important to note is that in the MBA experience, you have both your career coach, but you also have a personal leadership coach. So these are 2 different types of coaching. Your career coach is very much focused on your career ambition, whereas your personal leadership coach and that coaching is more about the reflection of yourself. It's understanding yourself vis-a-vis the world we live in. So it's more of a deeper dive in terms of understanding, the soft skills, the things that make you who you are, but also how you interact, how you relate, what are your triggers, those kind of things. So it goes a bit deeper, whereas the career coaching is very much focused on streamlining your career ambitions and helping you take the next step to find a career path that you're looking to achieve. So the career and the personal leadership coaching talks about who you are and what do you want. And then the career coaching, again, is very much how do you get there, right? So it's a marriage of the two. Like you need to understand yourself to understand also how you represent yourself and reflect as you move into different arenas. So it's a bit of that, let's say, marriage between the two. But again, it's important to make the distinction that these are two very different things at the same time. So the orientation year visa, in Dutch, it's known as the zoekjaar visa. So maybe you also hear it be used in that way. It's a very nice incentive for many of our students that are interested in pursuing a career here in the Netherlands post-graduation. Ultimately, for anyone that is non-EU or EEA, once you graduate from a Dutch university, you have the opportunity to remain in the Netherlands for an additional year to search for a job, and you can work in the Netherlands. So it is a designation, it's a special designation that you are allotted once graduated from Dutch university. So that is also a very nice incentive to know that you're not only here for the year of study, but you also have the opportunity to really explore the Dutch business landscape and convert that into a long-lasting career path. All
Right.
right.
Thank you very much, Ian. I think you had some really useful insights on what career development looks like throughout your MBA. But of course, a great way to get to know what your career development is going to be like during and after your MBA is to hear from the people that have done it themselves. So we're really pleased to have two of our recent alumni join us. We have Jonathan Maraca and Roberto Paniagua joining us. They both just graduated from their MBA only a few months ago, and they are here to tell you all about how that experience was for them. Jonathan and Roberto, do you want to start off by introducing yourself, maybe sharing what you were doing before the MBA, why you decided to do an MBA, and of course, what you're doing now?
Yes, I can start. Well, hi everybody. I am Roberto from Peru. Well, after doing the MBA, I was a category manager and I worked in the retail industry in Latin America. And yeah, I did that for 10 years. So it was one of the questions that I saw in the Q&A was, okay, I already have a lot of experience. How can what step should I take next? And for me, it was a really interesting decision to make. But I decided to do the full-time MBA, and yeah, best decision ever. I'm really happy with the outcomes, and yeah, why I decided to do this MBA is basically because I wanted to make the huge next step in my career. I actually wanted to have the experience to work outside my country, and I really wanted to have the experience of working here in Europe. So, especially in the Netherlands, that is a country that I really like. So that was basically my main motivation. And after 1 year, 2024, that probably is one of the biggest and the best years of my life. All the experiences that I had and everything. I couldn't be more happy with my decision. So I really encourage you guys to do this.
Thanks so much, Roberto. How about you, Jonathan?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's been introduced. My name is Jonathan Maraca. Before the MBA, I worked for a strategy consulting firm for about 7 years. I was born and raised in Uganda, so I was based in the Uganda office, but I worked on projects across Africa, so over 10 countries. Just to speak a little bit more to the sort of work that I did, I worked with mainly 3 types of clients, working with small and medium-sized enterprises. Think of businesses with revenues less than 5 million on strategy and capital raising engagements. Also worked with development partners, the likes of World Bank and Shell Foundation, just helping them with studies that would inform their interventions. And also I worked with impact investors, companies looking to place debt or equity to the SMEs that I just mentioned. So I did that for about 7 years, and then I decided to do my MBA. And similar to Roberto, I was really interested in working in a different market because I wanted exposure either in strategy consulting in another market, or my second career path, which I was looking into, was impact investing. So I prioritized schools that kind of had high geographic mobility, and RSM ranked really highly in this regard. And also being in the Netherlands, it's a hot hub for impact investors, which was one of my potential career paths. So I decided to go with RSM. Currently, I work for an impact investor. So, I actually achieved one of my career goals. I'm working with an impact investor called Triodos Investment Management. It's based here in the Netherlands, but we invest across the world. Personally, I'm in the corporate debt team focusing on Latin America and Africa. And my specific role is, placing senior debt and sub debt to companies in financial sector, financial services, agriculture, and renewable energy in Africa, as well as the Middle East. And yeah, really happy that I achieved my career goal, and the MBA really was a big part of that transition.
Thank you both. I'd love to hear more about what you just mentioned, Jonathan. How did you both find your job? How did the MBA experience help you prepare for that?
Yeah, I can start on this one. So in terms of getting this job, I would say there were kind of two layers to it, and kind of how the MBA played a role. The first was just in terms of helping me map out my career, both short term and long term. The MBA, worked, it provided me with tools, and we did a lot of trainings around that. I'll speak a little bit more to that. But then the second lever was actually providing me with tools and techniques to actually land the first job, something that's more tangible. So the context on how I got my job, so I had a short list started with a long list of maybe 40 companies, but in the short list of 5, Triodos Investment Management, where I currently work, was one of them. And what happened was there was a summer internship. So this was actually halfway the program. There was an internship that came up in the exact department that I thought I was a good fit for. So the corporate debt team for Africa and Middle East. So there were 2 constraints there. The first is it was an internship. I was looking for a full-time role. Then the second was, it's the middle of the course. I couldn't be working and doing the job at the same time. So, but I knew it was an opportunity for me to engage the hiring manager. So I did apply, and of course we talked through the constraints, managed to push to have the start date align with the last third of the MBA program, which allowed me to, in essence, do my electives while essentially working part-time. And by the time I got done with the program, there was budget for a full-time role, and that's how I got hired. I think the MBA, like I mentioned, the 2 elements that it supported me with was first that mapping of where do I want to be, basically being clear on what my interests are, but more importantly, what are my skills and what are my experiences, and how can I sort of bring all those together. That created, some level of self-awareness that helped me to, strategize and come up with actual tangible opportunities. It's a lot of self-awareness that happens across the year, and to me, that creates a grounding that is helpful both for your short-term career goals, but even long-term, 10 years, 20 years down the line. And I've had people say, they continue to use a lot of that. And then more practically, like in my case, keeping an eye out for things like the internships, that was a result of other people sharing their stories on how they landed their first jobs, understanding what the job market is here in the Netherlands, being confident, when you get into the room, like, yes, you've advertised for an internship, but how do you actually convert and try and build that into a full-time role that actually aligns with your skill sets, And in my case, a lot of that actually came from the trainings and a lot of what the MBA provided. So yeah, that was kind of my experience.
Thanks so much, Jonathan. How about you, Roberto?
Well, basically, I found my current job. Right now, I am a category manager as well in an e-commerce that is all across Europe. And how I get the job is basically with a word that you have heard a lot during the session, that is networking. So I think that's very, very important. It's a very important part of the journey. Because yeah, as Jonathan said, I also did one list of companies that I wanted to apply for. But yeah, sometimes just making a list and sending application is not enough. So you have to go out there and actually meet people. And for that, networking is the key word actually for I think my success in the job search. So I think the MBA helped me in these two fronts. One, for making a lot of networking events, a lot of networking, like they incentivize a lot of network. So that really helped me a lot, because before that, for me, networking was like a really taboo issue. I was a bit uncomfortable with networking. I didn't know how to approach. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to act. But after a lot of practice during the year, I think I managed to network like super nice right now. I think I'm really good at it, actually. And secondly, yeah, they gave me all the tools, like all the more practical frameworks, like mapping the companies. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How are you writing your CVs, your cover letters? So it was a nice combination of both soft skills training and also the practical and hard skills like CVs, cover letters. That is also really important to get the attention and the application success.
Thanks, Roberto. That's great. For our participants, if you have questions for Jonathan or Roberto, please put them in the Q&A box. I will hand some of those over to our panelists in just a moment. But first, Jonathan and Roberto, I'd really like to hear about the European aspect of it. I know you're both not originally from Europe. What made you decide to stay here for your career, and how was the process logistics-wise? Just the fact that you've picked up, left your home country, and relocated to somewhere else.
Well, I go. Well, it's not easy, of course. It's a really big decision to make. But as I was telling you at the beginning, I don't regret it at all. I mean, it has been one of the best decisions. Of course, letting 10 years of work behind is difficult, and for me it was that. But yeah, I just made the decision because I wanted to grow. I wanted to have the exposure of working in Europe. I wanted to have the experience of working in a bigger company that I was working before. So yeah, once you get the decision, I think that's the most difficult part, because actually logistically, the country in general is very friendly to people that comes from abroad. So after finishing the MBA, it was really easy to make the transition and to stay here. I mean, there was no issues with the visa. There was no issues with the residence permit. It was super smooth. So it was like from one year to the other. I'm not living in Peru anymore. I'm living here, and it's been so fast. So it's a really easy transition.
How about you, Jonathan?
Yeah, I echo what Roberta said. I mean, just in terms of the decision, it is challenging, and several things that you need to walk through logistically. Uh, and but I will say, as you walk through those challenging moments, that's actually where the growth happens. So the decision, first of all, because technically you could study anywhere in the world, if you put your mind to it. But then you have to go through the process of deciding, okay, why the Netherlands, why this school? And for me, just going through that process kind of builds, first of all, the self-confidence and the trust that you are, carving out your own path and actually building the skills necessary to help you get anywhere in the world, if you decide. And so while there's so many questions to answer and so many logistical things to work through, those challenges are actually growth opportunities. And so for me, I had a hard time with some of the decisions, but I enjoyed the learning that came through with that. That being said, you're not just going through these things alone. There is a lot of support. First of all, in making the decision to come to the specific school, networking with alumni at the program, just asking them, what was your experience like? You get a lot of insights there. Once you actually accept your offer and make the first down payment, immediately you get added to groups where they are prospective students, and so incoming students and also alumni. So you can ask virtually any question from, where is the best bar in town, to how do I get a house? Like, what are the best platforms to look out for housing? And, to also the career related questions. So there's a lot of resources, and there's a lot of support. And like Roberta said, the Netherlands is pretty international. Rotterdam itself is pretty international. So in terms of food, in terms of, different things, you can access a lot of what you want. It's a gateway to a lot of things in the world. So it's a really exciting place to be.
Great insights there. I'll also add that both Ian and myself are also not originally from the Netherlands, and we've relocated here and have really enjoyed our working experiences in this country. So would highly recommend in that regard. We have a question from one of our participants. So we have a question about the return on investment. Of course, an MBA is a significant investment, not just financially, but also leaving your home, leaving your loved ones. How has that process been for you? How did you approach funding the MBA, and what has been the ROI?
I can start with that. So directly, I haven't calculated the ROI, but I will say, first, how did I fund my MBA? I got a part scholarship. That went a long way in making this happen. I don't think I would have come here without that scholarship. I mean, it's quite costly, so that was kind of halfway the journey. That being said, I also had some savings, because I knew at some point I wanted to do the MBA, so the savings went a long way for that. And then I also took a partial loan to cover the remaining element. And I think across the world, that's how MBAs are funded. It's either scholarship, part savings, and also a loan if you need it. In terms of the return and the benefits that have come along the way, first, I would say You can start with the basics in terms of earning. In my case, my net pay is higher than what it was prior to the MBA. So, there's definitely that increment. When you look at why I came to the MBA is try a different market and potentially a different sector. I've gotten both of those. I'm now working as an impact investor, and that is broadening my skill set in different ways, and that's going to unlock even more opportunities, which I don't think I would have had being in East Africa. So for instance, I invest in financial institutions with reasonably large ticket sizes, and there's no institution that does that in East Africa and at the scale that I'm doing. So that's a very unique skill set. That's definitely going to unlock a lot more opportunities further down the line. The network that you get, even just your classmates from the first day, the people that you interact with, these are equally ambitious people with very diverse skill set and experiences, and they're going to go all over the world. And then also the alumni network, right? In the Netherlands, within impact investing, for instance, I would say every other day I check LinkedIn, and it's not uncommon for me to see a CEO, a manager, regional manager who comes from the school. My manager is actually is an alumni of the program. So and the CEO is also an alumni of the CEO of our firm is an alumni of Erasmus. So you can tap into that in many ways. So while I haven't calculated the ROI, there are so many short-term returns, but it even gets quite significant when you start projecting long-term. So yeah, that's kind of how I'd respond to that.
Yeah, Roberto.
Well, I mean, if you haven't calculated your ROI, I'm not a finance guy, so I actually don't know exactly. But yes, I had a budget, of course. I had savings with me after working, of course. But yeah, I'm actually planning. No, I'm gonna use a different ratio. I'm gonna use the payback period that I learned during the program, and yeah, I'm basically gonna recover, I think, my investment within this year. So I think that's more than okay. But yes, I mean, it all depends on of course your savings. There are a lot of people that also took loans, and it's okay. And you can there are a lot of ways of making it. So just as long as you have a budget, as long as you have all your expenses under control, I think it depends on each of us. How do we manage that part of the expenses?
Yeah, really great insights from you both there. I'll add in from the admissions side, scholarships, like I mentioned before, are definitely something we do have on offer. There are also a number of ways to fund your MBA if you're considering a student loan or another option. That is always something you can discuss with your admissions manager. I'll be sharing our contact details in just a moment. I have a question coming in about AI. And maybe Ian, you'd also like to jump in for this one, but the question is how you see AI impacting MBA candidates after their MBA, but also during their MBA. What has RSM experienced? Ian, do you want to take that one to start?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's a really relevant and it's a great question. For us at RSM, we really have the approach of embracing AI. It's obviously not going anywhere. It's a tool. It's more working within the framework of understanding how we can work with AI and also provide skill building and competencies as to how you work with AI as you also integrate it into relevant career paths. In terms of, let's say, straight curriculum and navigating using AI to complement delivering curriculum and assignments, so forth. during the program, we have a very clear AI guideline policy. Essentially, we don't discourage the use of AI, but we also need to make sure that it is your original work. So there's these components, and I think many universities are kind of refining these things as also the technology changes. Like most things, technology is moving a lot faster than the policies and frameworks we can create around them. But two pieces here is that we have a very clear AI policy that continues to be refined. Secondly, is that we are now working to program AI components into the core curriculum so that we're also making sure that we're providing relevant learning opportunities for the changing market and also the changing skill set that employers and companies are looking for as it pertains to the use of AI and the various AI platforms and services that are being utilized.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Anything to add, Jonathan or Roberto, from your time as a student or even in your career now?
Yeah, so my time as a student was kind of interesting because you definitely saw a lot of the chat GPTs evolving quite fast in terms of their capabilities, to the extent where just from a school perspective around embracing AI, I think I was part of the team that sort of did a trial run on one of the the internally developed chatbots by Erasmus for one of the programs, and how we could use it safely and so on and so forth. So I think there are ways to leverage it that were helpful in terms of doing our work, and there were definitely ways in which the program itself provided the right tools. In terms of how it's impacting the workplace, first of all, I'm a strategy consultant, or that's what I was doing prior to this. And a lot of what we were doing at my company before was a lot of research work, a lot of, trying to answer certain key client questions, which, when I thought about, or when I looked at how AI has evolved, the time between you doing your research around certain key client questions and kind of how you'd go about structuring it, I think AI has definitely transformed the way or how fast you can do that. And that's both a positive and a negative in the sense that it's positive in the case that you actually do your work in a shorter space, but it's also negative in terms of kind of client demand and how you go about billing, how you can bill your services. And I think a broader trend that we saw, or that, if you look it up from research and also just following the news, you see that there has been a lot of, I would say, stagnation in terms of overall revenues of a lot of the strategy consulting firms. And those that are actually succeeding are those that have pivoted and embraced it in certain ways. So I'll definitely cite BCG as one of the leaders as a consulting firm that has embraced this and sort of repositioned themselves. And if you look at the revenues since about 2018, you'll definitely see that they picked up in terms of outcompeting, their peers. But at the same time, it impacts, the people looking for jobs. So, how are you positioning yourself to fit into a firm that's increasingly doing a lot of AI implementation projects or advising clients around that transition, right? So that's in a particular sector that I was involved in, and it definitely informed a lot of my career decisions. And so, yeah, ultimately, these industries are being shaped, and it's a question of where do you want to play and how do you want to go about it. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Anything to add, Roberto?
I just wanted to say that, yeah, I mean, for me, AI was something particularly new because I was not in that much contact with AI before the program. And I actually thought I actually think I have learned how to use it responsibly, how to use it with also not losing my common sense. And it's not only because of what the program demanded, it's because I got the opportunity to share with all my cohort, because they also teach me a lot of how to use AI, and they introduced me to these tools like ChatGPT and others. So and now I use it basically every day at my job. So I think it's a really powerful tool that we have to be responsible with it. And yeah, and also like a lot of our friends in the cohort know how to use it better than me, so of course I'm learning a lot from them. So that's really important and really valuable as well.
Great. All right. I'm mindful of time. We have just a few minutes left, so I'll throw one last question to our participants, to our panelists. I'd like to hear maybe one takeaway, your strongest takeaway from your career development during your MBA. And then if you have any advice for our prospective students, applicants, maybe we even have some people that have already been accepted to our program.
I think for me the most important takeaway is, of course, besides the courses itself, before all what we have learned in hard skills, for me the most important thing is my friends now. I made a lot of friends during the year, and that network for me is the most valuable asset that I have now. And also how the program helped me in order to develop my soft skills, that's really what have taken me to the next level, I think, during last year and this year as well. So for me, those are my biggest takeaways, and I encourage you guys to just make the decision. I know it's hard. For those who have been already accepted, congratulations! We are going to have an amazing year ahead of us, ahead of you. Sorry, but for those who are in the fence, I should just I would go for it. You are not going to regret it. I know there are a lot of things to consider, but the ROI, the payback period, and all the financial ratios are going to be for sure paid off. So I really encourage you guys to make the decision.
Yeah, and then from my side, I'll just start with a tip. I think just be clear with what you want. In terms of the sectors or the sort of job that you're looking out for. And be honest with yourself in terms of what your skills are, your experience, and your interests, and be willing to sort of work to close your gaps to your dream job and what you're trying to do. In terms of what my biggest takeaway from the MBA, I think similar to Roberto, I think the network and just the friendships that have been cultivated throughout the year. Yeah, that's really powerful. But also the level of self-awareness that I've developed throughout the year, is can't be emphasized enough, and I'm really grateful for that experience.
Great. Well, Roberto, Jonathan, and Ian, thank you so much for your insights. This is really valuable for our participants to get a sense of what their MBA journey and career journey could look like. It makes a big difference. To all of our participants, I've just put the contact details for the admissions managers up on the screen. Based on where you are currently living, you have an assigned admissions manager. Please do reach out to us with any questions. You can send your CV and we can can complete a CV assessment for you. If you'd like to connect further with our alum, with Jonathan or Roberto, we'd also be happy to put you in touch, as it's always great to have a more personalized conversation. But otherwise, I thank you all so much for coming. We really appreciated your questions, and we hope you are excited about the potential of an MBA. Thank you again, Jonathan, Roberto, and Ian, and thank you all for attending. I wish you all a great rest of your day.